Good morning. Thanks for joining us for our last She's a Force of Nature episode in this series that we've been doing in celebration of Women's History Month. I'm Melissa Yapel, and I'm going to quickly introduce you to my colleagues that I have with me today. First, I have Jackie, who is with the Division of Engineering. Jackie's going to be helping me with questions. If you have any, folks, please use the Q&A box. And we will answer whatever we can for you. I also have with me Ashley. Ashley is the Northeast Regional Supervisor for the Division of Oil and Gas. You'll be hearing from Ashley in just a bit. And finally, we have Tara, who is a Waste Facilities Engineer with the Division of Oil and Gas. So you will be hearing from these lovely ladies in just a second. Jackie, would you mind sharing what the Natural Resource Women's Network is all about?
I would love to. Thank you, Alyssa. The Natural Resource Women's Network is a group of employees at OhioDNR who have come together to provide networking and professional development opportunities for the women who already work there. But we also focus on getting the word out to young women about all of the amazing career options OhioDNR has to offer.
Thank you, Jackie. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that we always have some fun programming scheduled for you. So if you want to see what we have coming down the pipeline, just check out our virtual programming page. I'll put the link in the Q&A box so that you all have it. And if you've missed any of our episodes, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's just OhioDNR on YouTube, and you will find all of our videos there. I'll also share that link in the Q&A. But we will go ahead and get started, and Ashley is going to kick it off for us. So there you go, Ashley.
All right. Can everyone see my screen okay? All right. All right, hi, so as Alyssa stated, my name's Ashley Raff. I'm a Natural Resources Administrator for the Division of Oil and Gas. My role is that I'm a supervisor in our field enforcement section in Northeast Ohio. So I have a couple slides to illustrate what the division does, how I got here, and what I do day to day in my job. So up here is our OhioDNR mission statement, and what the division does is we are responsible for regulating Ohio's oil and natural gas industry to protect all of Ohioans, our environment, and also ensuring that state's abundant natural resources that we have are properly managed. So Ohio has a long oil and gas history. Drilling has actually been occurring in the state since the 1880s, but it was unregulated largely until 1965, when House Bill 234 gave the division authority to enforce the laws set forth by the General Assembly. So here's a picture from Morrow County in 1964. This is pre-regulation. As you can see, there are no spacing requirements. The drilling rigs are all very close together. And this brings about a lot of different issues. So the spacing issues is one of the reasons why the division was initially formed. We do take seriously our responsibility to protect human health, safety, and environment through regulating the oil and gas industry. And a big part of what I do day to day and the enforcement section is respond to public inquiries and complaints. We have a policy to respond to any of those within 24 hours. The types that we get vary. It may be a landowner who has a well on their property that's not producing anymore and is idle. So our field inspection staff will go out, inspect the well, and if it does need to be plugged, then we'll work with the operator to get that well plugged. A lot of times it may be environmental concerns, a leaking well, to which we will respond on site and have it remedied. Other times it's just simply educating the public. You know, a landowner might be concerned about a well that's located near them, and We'll go out and give them the facts, and once they have all the facts and understand, that oftentimes will put them at ease. So the Division of Oil and Gas, we oversee many different aspects of the oil and gas industry, and one thing that I love most about my job is that every day what I'm doing is different and brings variety. Sometimes I'm in the office or I'm in the field. Enforcement section, we generally focus on and oversee the bottom three here: active well drilling and completions, producing operations, and well plugging. So here's some pictures of what the inspectors do day to day out in the field. Over here on the right is Shannon Mullins. She's an inspector with us in the Northeast section. This picture was actually taken a couple weeks ago. She was covering a plug job out in Stark County. This is a picture taken from an old presentation I found. I think this is actually my current supervisor, Tom Hill, back when he was inspector, but this shows him doing something that we do on a day-to-day basis during active drilling operations or plugging operations. It looks like he's discussing with the operator volumes, numbers, making sure that what they're going to do and put in cement in the well does follow the regulations. So this is a picture of a conventional well, and if you live in Ohio, then you've likely seen these. As a side note, for those of you, conventional versus horizontal. Conventional just means that the well is vertical. So this well in Northeast Ohio is likely producing from the Clinton Formation, which is about 5,000 feet below the surface. So one of the day-to-day things that field enforcement does is we might go out, either a request, a complaint, or just driving around on a beautiful Ohio day, inspecting wells, and we come across these, and then we inspect them for leaks, environmental concerns, making sure that the well is in compliance and there's no issues. So pictured here is a horizontal drilling rig. So we are on site. One of the very important things that we do is witness cementing of the casing strings. This is to ensure that the well is being constructed by law. Casing cement is very important for the life of the well and protection of the water. I can't go into it right here, but anyone who's interested in this topic, there is a video on YouTube put out by the OhioDNR. It's about a 4-minute video that kind of outlines shale development and extraction in Ohio and that process. So pictured here is an aerial view of a horizontal well location. So while I'm here, I'm going to go into how I got to be with the division and where I came from, because actually my first day on my job outside of college was on a drilling location just like this. My hometown is in Canton, Ohio. I graduated from Glen Oak High School, and I believe we have some Lady Eagles present on this call, so shout out to you guys. And then I went on to Ohio University and earned my degree in geological sciences. I chose this not initially, but growing up, I always loved science, and I knew I wanted to be a scientist when I grew up, and I was fascinated by rocks and how the earth worked. I'd play for hours outside exploring stream beds for rocks. I remember trying to learn everything that I could. But then throughout the rest of my schooling, I just wasn't exposed to earth science, and I felt that the direction I should go would be in the medical field. We didn't have STEM programs when I was in school, and I think the year of high school that I was actually supposed to take earth science, I instead took a genetics class, so I just wasn't exposed to it. So I started college, and I was going towards the medical field, but it didn't feel right, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do until I took an oceanography course, and this was a major turning point for me. It just clicked with me, and I understood it so well. A lot of geology works in processes and cycles, and I feel that's how my brain understands things the best. And I just loved it. And actually the professor, she met with me one day after class. She approached me and encouraged me to pursue a degree in geology. And she opened my eyes to all the things that I could do and all the job prospects that would be available to me. So some advice I do have for any girl looking to get into a field is not be discouraged if there are certain aspects that may be challenging for you. So as I said, a big part of geology is process-based, which I think is why I understood it and grasped onto it the most so easily, but there's also a lot of mathematics and engineering based. And those were some concepts that for myself were harder to grasp and understand. So instead of being discouraged, I worked hard. I had to work a little harder than some other people in those areas. But doing that, I essentially trained my brain. And now I use these concepts, I do math every day. I apply engineering concepts on a daily basis, and I don't even think about it. So my advice is that if there's an element in a field that you feel is difficult for you, don't look at it as a weakness. Look at it as, a challenge that you can overcome. So how did I decide to go into oil and gas? During college, we were exposed to all the different aspects of geology. And I knew I wanted to be in oil and gas. And they just interested me more than anything. And I took all the oil and gas courses I could. But immediately out of college, I realized that prospects for geologists in the oil and gas field who have no experience are limited, at least in Ohio they are. So I started as a well site geologist. This is also known as a mudlogger in the field. And what I did on location, I examined rock cuttings that become circulated to the surface during drillings. And I identified formation tops, communicating those with the operator. So this was sometimes a really hard job. I worked 12-hour shifts. I worked midnights. I worked days, weeks, sometimes even months at a time away from home. Sometimes it got really dirty and it was either really cold or really hot. And there were nights I would be discouraged, wondering if I made the right decision and if I got into the right field. But those years of experience that I had at this job, I wouldn't trade for anything. It really laid down a foundation of knowledge and experience that I couldn't gain from reading a book. And every day I build on that foundation from the experience I received doing this. So it's another piece of advice I have for the girls, not to become discouraged if you're looking to graduate college and you don't find a job prospect that you imagined yourself in. Just getting that couple years of experience under your belt can really open so many more doors and opportunities for you. So I did this for a couple of years and I knew it was time to move on. Also, I had recently gotten married and I wanted to start a family, and working on a location like this just wasn't conducive to that. So I found a posting for the ODNR as a field inspector, and it seemed like a dream come true because I was still able to work in oil and gas, but I was still able to go home at night and have the weekends and have a good work-life balance. So I was offered that position in 2015, and then in 2019, I became a regional supervisor for the division. So that's how I got here. And here's our website, anyone interested, and then here's the website for Ohio Careers. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now and send it back over to Alyssa.
Thank you, Ashley. So we are actually going to welcome now Tara to give a similar presentation about what she does and her experience with the division. And then we'll go into some questions after that. And you are live, Tara. I think you're muted.
Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
ready to go.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Tara Lee, and I work in the Division of Oil and Gas Resources Management in the engineering section. We have 3 programs in the engineering section. The Orphan Well program and the horizontal well program, and then waste facilities. These 3 programs consist primarily of engineers and engineering technicians. The orphan well program develops the contract document, which include drawings for bidding projects to plug abandoned wells. And they are also involved during construction to help ensure the contract documents are followed, and the wells are also plugged according to the drawings. So they work with the inspectors to help ensure this is done. The horizontal well pad program is a regulatory program that reviews the design of well pads for horizontal wells, and they ensure that the pad is designed and constructed appropriately to make sure that stormwater coming off the site does not impact adjacent property, and that the well pad is stable so that it is safe for the workers on the pad and any public also in the vicinity of the pad. The waste facilities program is also a regulatory program that reviews the design, siting, and operation of oil and gas waste facilities. A waste facility is where the oil and gas industry brings waste materials from the exploration, drilling, or production of a well for treatment. The waste is then recycled, disposed of, or temporarily stored. Oil and gas waste typically consists of brine, drill cuttings, drilling muds, flowback fluids from the drilling processes, and filter media. So I currently manage the waste facility program, and the reason we regulate these waste facilities is to ensure protection of the environment and the public, because the waste can be very concentrated in chlorides and total dissolved solids and may be considered T-norm. So T-norm is technologically enhanced, naturally occurring radioactive material. And the isotopes we're looking at are typically radium-226 and radium-228. These components in high levels can kill vegetation and wildlife if they were to spill on the ground or to get in a stream. And they can also be harmful to the public if they were to get into the drinking water. When someone wants to build a waste facility, they submit an application, including detailed drawings of their proposed process and site layout. We review the documents to ensure that the process will guarantee the wastes are contained so there is as minimal a chance as possible that the waste can contaminate the environment or harm the public. We also conduct routine inspections of each waste facility and conduct enforcement actions when necessary. So I get to work both out in the field and in the office. So the program was created by statute in 2013, so therefore it's a fairly new program, and we are required by law to develop rules which outline how the program is to be administered. We are currently developing those rules, and we are hoping to have them in effect by the end of this calendar year. So I am an engineer, graduated in engineering with a specialization in water and wastewater treatment, and my background provides me the technical expertise to review the design drawings and to discuss the treatment processes with the waste facility operators. So how did I become an engineer? Well, I always wanted to be an engineer. I loved science classes in school, and I always wanted to know how things worked. Always asking a lot of questions growing up. Spent a lot of time out in the barn and workshop with my dad growing up, and so I went to the Ohio State University, and I got a degree in agricultural engineering. I selected Aggie because of the diversity that it offered in its program. I have experience in mechanical, electrical, hydrology, and water resources. And during my junior year of college, I had an internship with the Department of Natural Resources in the Division of Engineering. And I got to participate in developing the Coastal Erosion Control Structure Permitting Program. I was then hired full-time when I graduated into the Division of Engineering. And there I got to work with different engineers on different types of projects, learning all sorts of different things, including dam rehabilitation, trail boardwalks, cabin renovations, water treatment systems, and sewage treatment systems. So this is during this time that I developed my passion for water treatment, which is mostly chemistry, which has always been something that I love. And so this is where I decided to further my technical expertise. And I enjoyed it so much, I decided to get my Class 3 water operator's license from the Ohio EPA. And this allowed me to gain additional expertise in the operation portion of the water plants. So I spent 16 years with the Division of Engineering managing the treatment plant operations and technical assistance program. Kind of look at it as each state park is kind of like a small town with its own infrastructure, including water and sewage systems. So my team at that time, we provided technical assistance to the water and wastewater treatment operators at each park. And then we would also design new plants and upgrades required for regulatory changes and just from the aging of the systems. I also got to participate in construction of those projects, which I also enjoyed very much. It's very satisfying to see a project go from a design drawing into reality. And construction teaches you a lot. You learn how to make decisions quickly and to be collaborative in developing solutions to problems. As there are always problems during construction. No design is perfect, and sometimes changes are needed during the construction due to the site conditions or equipment dimensions changing and manufacturing. Things just pop up that we have to deal with. So how did I end up in oil and gas? Well, about 2 years ago, I was approached by a colleague that was currently working in oil and gas that there was an opening in the waste facilities program. The current manager of the program was going to be retiring probably the next year, and she thought it might be a fun opportunity for me to apply my skills in water treatment in the oil and gas industry. Plus, I'd also get to participate on the ground floor of a new program and get to help develop it. So over my career, my work has affected people's lives in many different ways. One of the best is I've been able to improve our visitors to our state parks and forests by providing them good tasting drinking water and by keeping the environment safe by properly treating sewage. And my current position lets me keep people safe by ensuring the oil and gas waste is properly treated and disposed. In every industry, there's a balance between production and the environment, and my job is to ensure that balance is maintained when it comes to oil and gas waste. So one of the things that motivates me is problem solving. When people seek out an engineer for something, a lot of times it's because they have a problem that needs solved. And I enjoy breaking the problem down and working with the client to develop a solution that meets their needs and is also cost effective. I also like to try and develop better ways of doing things. Every project is different, even if it seems somewhat similar to a previous project. And it's fun to see where I can make an improvement. They may also be a cost saver for our client. One of my favorite problems was finishing construction of the Middle Bass Island water treatment plant. Myself and two of the treatment plant operation managers that I worked with, we actually got to live on Middle Bass Island from February through May one winter to finish construction of the piping and chemical feed systems. It presented a lot of challenges since the lake was frozen and all the materials had to be flown over until the lake thawed. I had to plan design contingencies since we were limited to the materials that we could take with us. So I typically have plan A, plan B, and plan C to make sure that somehow we could get it built with what we ended up taking. And fortunately, the project was a success, and we had the drinking water to the park by May when the season started. Like with all careers, you know, there are challenges, but I like to look at them as opportunities, and I've had many opportunities to work with different people, different backgrounds and personalities, and I've always enjoyed finding ways to bring people together to achieve great projects. I've also had some great mentors over the years that have supported me and helped me develop my technical capabilities. I've also had a few people, you know, that would question my capabilities or, you know, kind of just make me, you know, question myself. But over time, I've learned you just ignore those doubters, because the best way to prove them wrong is to forge ahead and succeed. So I I guess advice I would give to those out there looking to go into engineering or natural resources is you can do anything if you set your mind to it. And do not be afraid to fail, because it is one of the best ways to learn. If you make a mistake, you own up to it and then analyze the situation to see how you would do it differently the next time. So with that, I think we can answer any questions that might be out there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to send it to Jackie to get started with the questions.
Thank you, Tara and Ashley. Both your presentations were very enlightening. I really enjoyed that. Tara, I know you discussed about a past exciting project with Middle Bass Island, but what is a current project that you are working on right now that is exciting?
Okay, probably developing our rules, our administrative code, if you will. We call them rules, which actually lays out the requirements for how a person applies for their permit, what the application looks like, all the parts and pieces, the design requirements for a waste facility, things that they have to address, such as what the primary containment, like the tanks, what they have to be fabricated from, if you will, to the secondary containment, which holds any spills from the primary containment. So developing those rules and all those little aspects of it, and then we actually get to work with the industry then and propose it to them and have discussions and work through that process. That's very exciting.
So Ashley, what is the most exciting project you are currently working on?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, what really excites me is research, and day to day I come across wells that may have no record, or records are tangled in some way. And I really love diving in to research to find the story about that well, to try to figure out how that well is made up. And like Tara as well, we are also doing our OAC rule review, which has been challenging and exciting. I've learned a lot. I learn a lot every day. It's enlightening. Then taking the rules that we suggest to the industry and kind of seeing their point of view and their feedback. And then the division and the industry, we work together to kind of find a middle ground that everyone can agree on. So I think that's been really exciting as well.
Ashley and Tara, what is one piece of advice you would give to a young woman looking to pursue a career in the natural resource field? Or in other words, what do you do now? What do you know now that you wish you knew when you were at the beginning stage of your career?
I would say something I wish I had done is, you know, take those internships, look for internships, look for anything you can do to just get a little bit of experience and get your foot in the door while you're in college. And then you can kind of, by doing that and getting the different experience in different areas, you'll get a better idea, I think, of what you want to do and what you want to be.
And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump in on that and take advantage to promote our internship program. For anyone that's listening and you're interested, we will open applications in the fall. So check our webpage, our intern webpage, in like September or October, and you'll find information on our program then. Sorry for jumping in there, Tara.
That's okay. I'm gonna take off that and say that I had never planned on working in government. That's not something I really planned on. And if I hadn't have had that internship, I probably never would have ended up working in the areas that I have. I think one of the things I always like to point out, if anybody's interested in math, science, and looking at engineering, I always encourage them to do that. Don't worry about if you've not had a lot of the advanced courses in high school. I went to a very small rural school where advanced classes weren't even offered, and I was able to do it. You just, just stick to it. If it's something that you love, the math and sciences, you can do it. It's just, if you work hard, you can do it. So.
Have you ever felt that your field, this question's for both of you, sorry. Have you ever felt that your field work is dangerous, either because of hostility to women or because of hazardous situations? What did you do to handle this?
I'll go first. I've been on a lot of different construction sites over the years. Used to actually do a lot of small project work myself. So yes, there are dangers. So the key thing is to assess your environment, assess the situation, know where everything is, and constantly be thinking about safety. Currently, in my oil and gas position, the waste facilities are hazardous sites within themselves just because of the machinery going on, and then what they're treating. So again, it's just being aware of your situation, what's around you, and just being cautious.
Yeah, I'll agree with Tara on that one as well. So in the oil side, on the drilling rigs, those are very dangerous sites. There's a lot of moving equipment. A lot can go wrong if one person isn't paying attention and watching their step. And it really only takes one person of doing that could potentially endanger the safety of others on location. I've never really experienced hostility towards women, but starting out, especially in my first job as a well site geologist, starting out on a drilling rig, and this was back in 2012, I think that was back when the shale drilling really started taking off in Ohio. I think since then, women are more commonplace on locations and on the drilling rigs, but back in 2012, I could tell that I was one of the first women people have seen on location. And it was a little intimidating. Again, you got to understand the safety factor that I just mentioned. But all I did, I kept my head high. I did my job. I remained professional at all times, ignored any passing comments, and just focused on my job and doing my job well. And in no time, I was able to earn the respect from everyone. And I was just seen as another hand on location.
Thank you. So another question I have for the both of you is, how would you define a mentor? Can you talk about a time when a mentor was or would have been helpful to you?
I've had several mentors during my career, other engineers that you will, helping develop me in the water wastewater arena, high-level operators that have a lot of experience to show me the ropes, if you will, on the operations side of things, teaching me, proper water line installation, just things of that nature, giving me a lot of the hands-on experience that I feel has benefited me and my career. So I feel mentors are very valuable, and they're easy. I don't know. I recommend people seek them out because they'll really help you with your growth, and they're that support tool, because a mentor really it has a cares about you and wants to see you develop. So there's that relationship there that gives you that support.
Yeah, I agree with Tara. I think a mentor as somebody who sees your strengths and wants you and helps you develop them. I've had so many through my life that is why I am where I am. from teachers to, college professors, research advisors, and then on the professional field, supervisors who are willing to see your strengths and play on those, but also continue to teach you and help you grow in areas that you may not be so strong at. One of the things I really love about our division is we come from a variety of backgrounds. In the enforcement section, we have backgrounds in geology and environmental science, people who worked 20 years in the industry. And I feel like we all kind of mentor each other. We all come in and play off each other's strengths and are teaching each other on a daily basis. And I think that really, as a division, makes us a strong team.
So we know where we would find you on during your working hours, but maybe the audience would enjoy to hear, where would we find you on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon?
Usually I love to run. It's one of my hobbies, if you will. So I'll probably be out running. If I'm not doing that, then I'm out working in the yard, in the gardens, doing something, or on my house, doing some sort of project. We had recently renovated a turn of the century home. So we're always doing projects like that. So.
Yeah, where I would be on a weekend, that's changed the past few years. I have 2 young kids, so they kind of dictate where we go on the weekends. But what we love to do, especially when the weather is nice, is use the state parks, the county parks, and utilize their bike trails and go biking and hiking. I really enjoy doing that.
We just got another question from our audience. Have you had problems with the good old boys mentality? What did you do to help to overcome this?
I'll let you go first, Sarah.
Okay. I would run into that. And I would just basically, if we're jump in the hole, if we're installing water line, if something's going on, just jump in and show them that I could do it. Actions speak louder than words, if you will. And that's how I've overcame that. I've also, kind of goes back, I've had a really good support around me through my career of men, typically, because wastewater is a predominantly male field that have supported me in that. So, but I think a lot of it is just showing that you can do it, because the facts are what the facts are. So.
Yes, I think I said in the last question or two, the mentality of women on the drilling rigs. As far as the division, I don't think that anyone in the division sees someone on their gender. I think you're only seen on your merit and how hard you work. I do see that out in the field when I come up to operators with that old school mentality. And especially the position that I am, where I'm there as a regulator, and in some cases to tell them what to do, which they don't often like. But I just remain professional, stay professional, and any attitude they might have, I just ignore and continue to do my job.
Who to you is the most inspiring female role model or leader, and why? That's a toughie.
That is a toughie.
I can start with this one. I always looked up to a geologist named Marie Tharp, because when I was going to Ohio University, where she attended, we had this huge model of an ocean floor map, and she was not only one of the first women geologists, but she was the first person, her and her team, to map the ocean floor. This was earlier in the century. And what she did was actually a basis for plate tectonics. And so I looked up to her as a role model, especially because she broke through, and especially back then, to an all-male dominated field, and overcome those challenges. And then today, I guess I gotta say, I look up to actually our director, Mary Mertz, as a role model. She's a female, and she's always wants to promote females in the DNR and outreach, and I just think she's a great role model for all.
Looking back through my life, all the women in my family, I look to them. My mom, my two grandmothers. I had a great grandmother who was very involved in my life. They were all very strong women. Most of them did work. My one grandma in particular, she was 4'9", and she was just, kind of a bulldog. She's one of those you just didn't want to mess with her. And I was always just given that there was never an if when we were going to do anything, or if I was going to do something. It was always a when. So just being taught that mentality growing up, and just having them and their how they handled life and themselves and challenges, they were all my role models. So.
I was muted. Sorry, guys. Thank you, Tara and Ashley, both of you, and thank you, Jackie, for the questions today. I think it is about time for us to wrap up. Unless anybody has any last-minute questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. But we appreciate you all joining us. And if you missed anything today and you want to watch it back, head over to our YouTube page. This will be posted just like all of our other webinars in a few days. So thanks again, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.